Alright guys, time for some Patreon requests, and this first one comes from my good friend Matt Denian, who asked me to do a Wolverine Van Helsing crossover, as in the Van Helsing from the Hugh Jackman 2000s movie, which I think is really good. It's a movie I always enjoy watching. So, and also to make it interesting, we're going to have the Wolverine from the Fox movie. So this is the X-Men movie universe Wolverine. So to make it a little more interesting, especially with the story I got planned for it. So this story takes place. It begins a year after the events of the first movie, and Carl has been and Friar Carl has found himself being brought before the Order. And the Order basically tells them, so did you find him yet? That him being Van Helsing. It turns out that after the events of the first movie, after Anna's death and being cured of his lycanthropy, Van Helsing just didn't come back. He and Carl split ways, and Van Helsing retired from monster hunting. And Carl is like, yes, about that. I couldn't find him. I lost him. And he's like, you still haven't found him. It's been a year. You will never become a monk until you do, and you'll never be fully a part of this order until you find Van Helsing. Every year you leave Van Helsing out in the wilderness, the more evil grows stronger again. He's like, I'll find him. And he's like, it's like, I don't even have a lead. And then they're like, fortunately for you, we do. It turns out that their lead is in, the closest they have is that one of their members of their order has believed to have found Van Helsing in somewhere in the Canadian wilderness. And he's like, Canada? You want me to go to the bloody New World to find Van Helsing? He's like, and the monk and the priests are like, if he's there, you go get him. And they're like, okay, I'll go. Why bother? I'm just a monk going. I'm just a friar going into the damn world to look for a friend who just up and abandoned me. What do I know? So Carl goes to Canada. He travels far from Rome to to the far reaches of Canada. It's a very long journey, and he's already annoyed by all of this. Traveling that far. Now, however, while this is going on, while this is happening, Van Helsing is, in fact, in Canada. He is actually in Canada, and he's been kind of living in seclusion in the wilderness of Canada, specifically what would become Alaska. So, from there, he's been just kind of chilling out, just living in solitude as a hermit. But he has been living in a small, hunting village, and he's been silently, there hasn't been a monster sighting, but he always he always trains and keeps his eyes open. It's about that time one night when someone is found brutally murdered. Someone has been found in the village brutally murdered, and they go to Van Helsing, hey, we don't know what to do. We don't really have a law enforcement. Can you help us? And he's like, sure. So Van Helsing goes, he's actually, the other thing is Van Helsing's become, the faux sheriff of the town. So now he goes and sees that something brutally attacked this person and killed his livestock too, and it looks like they were all eaten. You might know where this is going. But, yeah. So Van Helsing is it could have been a bear, and one of the villagers go, do bears make tracks like that? And it's these big bipedal tracks and claw marks on the walls. But the thing is, some of those claw marks are just 3 claws down. Are just 3 claws, and he's like, that's weird. I've never seen an animal with just 3 claws. And then there's others with just 5 claw marks, and and they're very vastly different. And it's something came here, and either this animal has 2 sets of arms, or there was a fight going on. The other, the animal with the 3 claws surprised the monster that was eating this flesh. I'll go and I'm going to go out and find it. So Van Helsing travels out into the wilderness to go hunt this monster. Again, you might know who it is by now. You might figure out who it is by now. But yeah. Meanwhile, Carl has reached Canada, and he's been traveling all across looking for evidence of Van Helsing. And that's when he's at a bar, and he sees a man who looks dead ass like his friend, and he's like, Van Helsing, I found you. And he's like smoking a cigar. He's like, Bub, I don't know who you are. And he's like, no, it's me, Carl. You have to, I don't know what your problem is, but we have to go back to the Order. They're pissed that you have. He's like, buddy, don't touch me. He's like, what is going on with you, Van Helsing? I have traveled all over this damn new world. I've spent months on a bloody boat looking for you. And he's like, I don't know, pal, padre, I don't know who you are, bub, but I ain't him. And he's like, my name's Logan. And, yeah. He's like, well, it's, his name's Jimmy. And he goes, my name's Jimmy. And he goes, well, Jimmy, how do you explain, looking like my best friend, one of my friends? And he goes, I don't know, bub, maybe we were separated at birth. Just like I was smoking a cigar. And he's like, anyway, bub, I'm hunting, so why don't you piss off? He's like, oh, you're hunting, how nice. What are you hunting? Let me guess, a big monster. And he's like, all right. And then he, grabs Carl and then pops the claws, and he's like, oh, so you are Van Helsing. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go. He's like, listen, bub, he's got two of the bone claws, because this is Wolverine before the adamantium. He's like, listen, bub, I got 2 reasons why you better start talking. And the third one's gonna go through your head if you don't. And he's like, my name is Carl. I'm part of a sacred order of religious warriors who protect the world from monsters. And you look like someone who used to be a friend of mine, and now I can't find how he is, but I will leave you alone. He's like, tell me who he is. He's like, his name's Van Helsing. Meanwhile, Van Helsing has been searching high and low for the monster and has tracked it to a cave. And he looks deep into the cave, and there he finds it engorging itself on another victim, the Wendigo. Yeah, this is the Fox version of the Wendigo. Yeah, we never got the Wendigo in anything with Fox Marvel, especially in Wolverine. So yeah, this is how we get that version of the Wendigo. So the Wendigo is the big Hulk, this big hulking, monster, and it attacks Van Helsing, and he's kind of out of the game. Like he has been training, but it's been a while, and his tools aren't really up to stuff. So he's just living on skill alone. He gets his ass beat and escapes, but the monster, he did manage to wound the monster, and it leaves. It's about that time when he's hurt and he's left alone. That's when he sees 2 figures pick him up and pull him away. He wakes up in a hut, and he sees Carl there, and he's like, Carl! And he hugs him, no, don't bloody hug me, I'm mad at you. He's like, why? Because I thought you were him. He was you, I don't know. So that's when Logan and Jimmy, well, let's call him Wolverine. Wolverine and Van Helsing see each other, and they're like, holy shit. You look just like, he's like, we just look like each other. So there's that's when Carl throws out a theory. He's like, what, everyone, the whole world's got doubles. Maybe this is one of those kind of things where it's Jimmy's just like, I always heard this thing of I always thought their world there's always a double out there for a person. Maybe you're mine. And Carl goes, or maybe it's something a little different. You see, while you've been gone, Van Helsing, I've looked through the old texts after Dracula told you that you and he were you were the angel of Gabriel. You were the angel Gabriel. And Jimmy's just like, what? Go with it. And Carl throws out this theory is that when Gabriel, he looked through really forbidden. Carl looked through really forbidden texts in order to find out what this whole thing, what this hullabaloo was. And essentially, what he discovered was that in these old forbidden texts in the Vatican, that Gabriel did fall from Earth after battling Dracula, and his soul separated into hundreds of people, and those people manifested into warriors of good. And James is just like, I am anything but good. And he's like, as far as you know. He's like, well, what is the creature that attacked me? And that's when Wolverine goes, it's called the Wendigo. I've been tracking it for 3 weeks. I almost killed it in your village, but it got the better of me. So the two agree to team up and hunt down the Wendigo. So So as they're talking, he's like, "Do you really believe that we're like two of the same person?" He's like, "Does it matter?" And he's like, "Not really." So Wolverine and Van Helsing do manage to corner the Wendigo, and the monster lashes out at them. Wolverine shows off his bone claws. Van Helsing's using his silver, which does harm the monster even more. And during the fight, Logan looks at his claws and looks at the silver crossbows, the arrows that Van Helsing is shooting into the monster, and he's like, "Oh, I wish these were metal." He just jumps back and decapitates. They manage to get a killing blow on the Wendigo, and it transforms back into its human form. And he's like, Wolverine reveals that the reason why he was traveling after it is because he had fallen in love with a Native American woman, and her brother was under the curse, and he was trying to save her, but he had already killed and devoured her, and now that's why he was tracking her. So, yeah. So by the end of it, Van Helsing returns to the Order and is like, I don't know what you are. You're clearly not a monster, and the Order could clearly and could use your skills. And he's like, nah, Padre, I'm a loner. Last time I trusted somebody, he tried to gut me. So, be seeing you, bub. So, Wolverine goes on his merry way, and Van Helsing returns to the Order. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much my Wolverine Van Helsing crossover. You guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of it? And once again, Matt Denian, thank you so much for this. And as always, if you'd like to have a Patreon request done as well, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, where you guys can hit the third tier, and you guys can start sending me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. See you next time in the Multiverse.